Fine. So now yesterday we talked about the invoices, AP configurations and many things. Let me open our training board. So we talked about this and we talked about this role, and then yesterday we talked about the difference between the supplier administrator manager, and we know how to create the suppliers as well. Correct? Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is, if I go to payables invoices, by default we are able to see all the business units. Correct?
Yes.
See, the business unit which we created is Aditya BU.
Aditya BU.
This is the one which we created, but unfortunately we are able to see all the BUs. So I'm going to set a profile option by which system will default this particular business unit to this particular user. So whenever he comes to this invoice, this is called invoice workbench. This page is called as invoice workbench, where user will create a invoices for the supplier. Okay. So now duplicate this tab. We'll go to the profile option, setup and maintenance, global search, manage administrators. Let me search with manage profile values. Not this one. 1 second, wait. Manage administrator profile values. So I'll go to this, and then display name is profile option default BU. Profile option default BU. What is that profile option name? 1 second. Default business unit.
Business unit.
Okay, so first we'll update this. How to default this unit. First we need to search with manage administrator profile values, task name, and then profile display name is default business unit. So in this profile option, I will come down, I will add our values. I'll click on plus. Profile level is user. And then I will search our user. And Aditya BG. Okay. I will save and upload. Why this instance is not working? Okay. Now profile option is updated. Aditya. I'll say this. username and
Hmm.
business unit. A1 close. Click on done. I think it got reflected. Instance is not working as expected today. It is very slow. Not sure. Okay. Now let me go to the home page. I'll go to payables, invoices, create invoice. See, let us search our supplier. This is the supplier which we created yesterday. Supplier site, LMW, Coimbatore. Yeah. Let's say whether the payables period is, so before creating invoice, let us check whether the payables period is open or not. We should check that, right? Because we have a payables period in GL.
Jill.
We should check whether the GL and payables period both are open.
Okay.
General accounting period close.
Plus.
Period close. Hmm. See, accounting period GL is open, but payables is never opened. Correct? So I will go to this. Let us search November 23. Click on OK. Yes. See, if I choose January 23, then we need to open from January to till November 23. Yeah. So I have chosen the first period for payables as a November 23. Yeah. Now this is open. If I click on refresh, see, November 23 period is open. No, this is for application general ledger. This is not correct. Let me go to payables. See, November pay application is payables. November period is open. Okay, I'll click on done. Now I'll go to payables, invoices. Let us see how we can create one manual invoice. Create invoice. So this is invoice workbench. By default our BU is coming. Now let me choose the supplier, LMW, and then site. Okay, since we have only one site, system automatically defaulting this particular site. Let's say LMW invoice 001 and amount is 500. Type. So this is standard prepayment, debit memo, credit memo, retainage release. So standard invoice is nothing but normal standard invoice.
Standard invoice.
Prepayment invoice is
Advance payment.
if you are going to, yeah, for advance payment. Debit memo and credit memo is if we
Debit
want to
note and
reduce
credit.
the supplier balance. Yeah, this one. Retainage release is this is a separate concept which I will explain later. Now it will be very difficult for you to understand. Okay, so let it be standard invoice. In invoice description, I will enter this. Now I will come to this lines. See here total we could see, right? This item is 0, total is 0, but due is 500. How
500.
this due came is as of now we enter directly invoice amount. Yeah. So now yeah. So now if I enter this line level information, we will see this item is 500. Let me put 500. See, now item is 500 and then under distribution, I will choose our company. Hmm. Alan Soli. Cost center, let it be default. Expenses account. Default.
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 Yeah, this one also
Future
default.
default.
See, now we have entered the line amount and invoice amount, so that's total is matching.
Matching.
Okay, if there is any variance between the line amount which we entered and the invoice total amount, then this invoice we will not able to validate this invoice because there will be some difference, correct?
Yes.
For example, here I will enter 200. 200. Okay. See,
Due amount
out
is
of balance.
out of
If I
balance.
if I try to validate this invoice, there will be some error.
Interest and that.
Yeah, needs revalidation.
Needs
So if I
revalidation.
click on this, it will show that line variance. See, the total invoice line does not equal invoice
But
amount.
yes, amount.
So now I will update this line.
And
I will save this and see now it is coming 0. If I go to distributions, I could see that here also I need to update. Okay, now save. Payment term is immediate, which is defaulting from my supplier site. If I go to show more accounting, this is the GL date. If we are having taxes, then we need to choose the tax related code, everything here. But we didn't configure anything in the tax. Additional informations. So this is to capture any additional information which you'd like to capture. Now, if I scroll to right in invoice workbench, see if you are creating this invoice, if you are creating with purchase order, then here we will choose the purchase order number, line, everything. If that is this invoice is related to project module, then this section we need to fill it.
project model name this is.
There is a concept called projects. Like now we are working on AP, AR, FACM, right? There is also a module called project accounting. Project accounting is nothing but capex, apex, capital expenditure, operating expenditure.
Yes.
Yeah, what is capital expenditure and what is operating expenditure?
Capital expenditure related to the purchase of assets, which is the management will purchase assets, fixed assets, current assets,
Hmm.
assets of the company.
Okay. Say for example, I am a construction company. Okay. So I kickstarted my project on today, but my building everything will be happening on 2 years. After 2 years only, I will complete my building. Correct.
Yes.
So that time we will use this project accounting module. So whatever expenses we incurred for this particular project, once the project is completed, we will add that expenses to our project amount.
Okay.
I'm not explaining in the overall thing because that is a very big module. Like a finance consultant, there will be a separate consultant for this projects. They will handle only this projects module. Okay. So now I will validate this invoice. Okay. Now this is validated. And then here also we don't see any issues.
Issues.
Okay. Now if I go here, manage installments. See, this manage installments is nothing but for this invoice, when is the due? What is the payment term for this invoice?
Check.
Im- Immediate.
Immediate. Okay.
Okay, so if I go to manage installments, so this invoice is due immediately. So that is why it is coming today's date. Okay, for example, let's see whether we have any other payment term. We'll choose net 30. So net 30 means from this
30,
1123,
to 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days. So I'll just save this. I'll go to manage installments. See,
After
due
30
date
days
is,
only the payment.
yeah. It's not that after 30 days only we can create a payment. It's showing the due date for this invoice. If you want to make a payment today also, we can make that
We have to pay the invoice before this date.
before this due date. Installment is 1. And then if you see gross amount, unpaid amount, because we didn't pay it still, so that is why it is unpaid. This payment priority is nothing but just it will come 99. If you go here payment method, check. But for this supplier, we didn't assign any bank account. That is why this bank account is blank.
Empty.
See, bank account is blank. We will not able to, let's say
Fill
whether
up
we are
the
able to,
entry.
yeah, we need to assign a bank account for this supplier. Okay. Now, if you want to hold this invoice for a payment, you think that this invoice is something wrong. We should not want to make a payment for this supplier. Then if you go to manage installments, you see the one option called place hold.
Place hold.
If you place hold, this invoice we will not able to make a payment.
Payment.
Yeah. Then if you want to release that hold, you can release that hold. Okay. Now this button is to for calculate tax. As of
Tax.
now, we didn't configure any tax for our particular BU. So if you click calculate tax also, I'm not sure whether anyone configured anything. See, nothing is calculated. If you expand this, here we will see what is the tax rate and everything. Okay, so we don't have tax as of now. And then validate is done. Apply or unapply prepayment. If it is a prepayment invoice, then once the prepayment invoice is created, we will use this option to apply that prepayment invoice to any of the standard invoice. I will explain that. I will explain that. Okay. Then manage world. In this manage world, we will see if there is any world is there. So this world we created, right? Line variance world, and this got corrected. So this world got automatically released. If you see here, see name, release name in this section, correct?
Yes.
Then approval. If you want to account coding and then approval. So these two, what option is this account coding is nothing but initially we entered this distribution, correct? So, but you want that this distribution to be entered by some person. Okay. So for that, we will configure this account coding. And then if we click on initiate, based on the rules which we configure, system will send this invoice to that person to enter this distribution information.
Okay.
The scenario will come when it will come is, for example, there is a head office, there is a branch office. Let's say in branch office, someone has received the telephone bill.
Telephone bills.
Okay. These people, this branch office AP guy will has received this invoice and then he created the invoice, but he is not sure what account code he need to use. Okay. So that time, what he is thinking is this account coding configuration. We have done this configuration means what he will do is he will initiate the account coding and then let's say the rule which we configured is whenever this BO person initiate the account coding, it will come to AP clerk in the head office who is sitting in the head office. Okay, so he will receive the notification in his login to enter the account coding. Able to understand? Okay. Initiate, withdraw, resubmit, force complete. Initiate is first he will initiate. If you want to withdraw the request which he initiated, he can withdraw. If you want to resubmit, then he can resubmit. You want to complete this account coding means if you click on complete, then it will be complete. Got it? In the approval also same concept. Let's say whatever invoices this BO branch office team creates, it will go to approval to the head office team. So that time we will create this approval rules. Once they validate this invoice, if they initiate this approval, this invoice will go for approval. Once they approve, then only they will able to post this invoice. As of now, we have not configured anything on the account coding and approval. If you want to see where this invoice, you can use this view approval notification. So here system will show whether this invoice is pending with which user. Okay. Hello. Soundarya, Visalakshmi, are you able to follow?
Oh, sorry. Okay, miss. Unmuted, miss.
Okay, okay. If you want to cancel this invoice, you can click on cancel so that this invoice will get cancelled. If you want to delete this invoice from the system, if you delete, this invoice will be
Invoice
totally
will get edited.
deleted. Okay.
Okay.
Post to ledger, account in draft. What is this post to ledger? What is this account in draft? See, post to
Ledger
ledger
posting.
means, yeah. So once we do the post to ledger, this invoice accounting entry will be transferred from our payables subledger to general ledger.
General ledger.
Account in draft means this invoice will be not be posted. It will just show the draft accounting entry. What will be the accounting entry for this particular invoice?
Whatever
So
that has been posted and that mentioned.
yeah, so if you click on view accounting, see invoice validated, status is draft. This is the expenses account. This is the liability account. So since this is the draft, do you think that this accounting entry will be available in our GL?
No,
Correct.
because we have
Because
not posted, right?
yeah, posted, yeah. If you click on view T accounts, so system will show that ledger. You
Okay.
remember in 12th standard we will have that ledger book like left side and right side.
Yeah.
So that is this.
Debit one side and credit one side.
Yeah,
Mm.
got it.
Mhm.
So our debit is this expenses and then credit is our liability. It looks good, right?
Good.
Mhm. Click on done. Now I will click on post to ledger. The accounting is completed. Click on view accounting. I will expand this drop down. So this is done. Now I will click on this validated. See, now in accounting it is showing accounted. If you click on this, it will show the same this accounting entry. Okay. Now I will duplicate this. We will see this particular invoice entry in our GL. Let me go to general accounting journals, manage journals.
Journal.
I will click on search. See 500 which we posted, right? It is not posted still, it is processing. Once that background program is completed, it will journal name. See now the main thing is if you see a category is purchase invoices and then source is payables. So payables means we created this invoice in AP. That is why it is coming here payables. If you click on this debit and credit, there is hyperlink, right? If you click
Yes.
on this, it will take you to the invoice page.
Mm.
So from GL also we can see how this transaction came to GL. So it says that subledger journal lines. So if you click on view transaction, this invoice will open in this page. See. So now what I have shown you is from GL how we can drill down to subledger. Is this tough to understand or easy to understand? I have not done anything. I have created this
Okay.
invoice, I have validated this invoice, and then I have done post to ledger. Once I complete this, then if I go to journals,
Okay.
if I click on search for November 23, I could see my accounting, I could see my
Yes.
journal.
Whatever you
It,
posted in the journal.
yeah. So now if I go, if I open this journal, I could see source is payables and then category is purchase invoice. Here there is a hyperlink, right, for this transaction in debits and credits. So by seeing this, I don't know what is the invoice number, nothing. But I am very much interested to see what is the invoice number and who is the supplier from GL. Okay, so now I am clicking on this debit or credit anything. it will take you to this page. So in this it is showing invoice number, item expenses, invoice is validated, and then line description, invoice description. If I click on view transaction, it will take me to the transaction page.
Transaction page.
Okay, so now I'll go to create invoice, save and create next. For the same supplier, I will create another invoice, prepayment invoice. Let's say prepayment amount is 5,000. Just save this. Why it is not making me to edit? Cancel. I didn't change the invoice type. Invoice date is today's date. Click on search. Oh my god, I forgot to choose my BU. Let me choose my BU. I'll click on search. Edit. Edit. Okay, I saved this invoice, right? It is not allowing me to change the invoice type. Let me cancel this. Okay, now I cancel this, but see, I have used this invoice number. Okay, so now I'll click on create invoice. Invoice type is prepayment. Let me enter the same invoice number. Uh, See, this invoice number already exists. You got it? What I am trying to show you. So in system, for this particular invoice, for this particular site, we can have only one invoice number in the system. But this invoice is, even though cancelled, this one is already cancelled, but still I have not changed this invoice number when I was cancelling it. So that is why system is not allowing me to use the same invoice number. See. So now I will change this to 2.
2.
Allow prepayment application. So in this type, I have chosen the prepayment, and then I have enabled this allow prepayment application. If I check this allow prepayment application, then we will not able to use this 5,000 against any standard invoice which we are having as outstanding. See, normally there are two ways. The prepayment, there is a two types of prepayment. One is permanent and temporary. What is this permanent and what is the temporary? For example, if you are in a rental house, you will give this uh, rental advance as a 1 lakh or something. Okay, but when you vacate that house, this guy who collected this money, he will give you the
Give back the amount.
yeah, he will
Advance
give you
amount.
yeah. So he is not going to adjust this 1 lakh against any payment which you are going to give. Yeah. So if this is a temporary means, this 1 lakh you are going to adjust against the invoices which you are going to create for the same supplier on the upcoming days. If it is a permanent, we will not able to use this prepayment invoice. If it is a temporary, we can use this prepayment invoice for our regular basis. So for that
Okay.
only this checkbox. If you uncheck this, this will be considered as a advance.
Advance.
If you tick this, we have created this 500, right?
It will be
Invoice.
adjusted in the invoice.
Yeah, yeah. So now I will put this 5,000. See, now I have not entered the prepayment account. If you remember, I have entered this prepayment account in
Internet
our
assets.
no,
Previous entry.
in the manage common options. We have configured this manage common options, right? In that we gave this prepayment account. If you forgot, I can show you that. Wait. Setup and maintenance. Setup and maintenance. Payables. Okay. Manage common ops. See, remember?
Yes.
So this account code only getting defaulted when we create a prepayment invoice.
Prepaid invoice. Okay.
So I will save this. I will validate this. It is unpaid. Okay. Now we have one. Okay. Okay, I will come here. We have one standard invoice. Then we have one prepayment invoice. Standard invoice is 500. Prepayment invoice is 5,000. Now this prepayment invoice is unpaid, which means that I have created this invoice, but I have not made a payment to the supplier, correct? Hello?
Okay.
Yeah. So after I make the payment to the supplier, this payment, this unpaid status will change to
Paid
available,
status.
not paid, available.
Available.
Available
Okay.
means what system telling is you have the standard invoice, right? Why you are making a payment to this standard invoice? Because this prepayment is already available. You can, instead of creating a payment to this invoice, you can directly adjust this 500 to this prepayment invoice which you made a payment to the supplier.
Okay.
I will show that how it works is. For that we need to make a payment for this invoice. Manage invoice. Invoices. Manage invoice. Aditya business unit. Invoice date is today's date. I'll click on edit. Okay. Save and close. Click on done. Payments. We don't see the create payments. So we need to add the role. We'll go to tools, security console, user, p edit, add role. Payables. Accounts payable manager.
Manager.
No. We already have this. See, let me check. Wait. Payment roles in Oracle. Accounts payable, payment supervisor.
Supervisor.
Accounts payable,
Supervisor. Accounts payable in a supervisor.
payment supervisor. Click on done. Save and close. So in this sheet also we will include that role. Click on done. Let me close these things. I will go to tools, schedule process, LDAP. I'll submit this. Just log out and relog in. Payables, payments, create payments. Now we are able to see the create payment. So
Yes.
we could see two things, right? Invoices, payments.
Payments.
So we can make payment from invoice workbench also. For example, I will go to manage invoice. Let me choose my supplier.
And
Search. Yes, 3 days. So now I will open this
payment.
prepayment invoice, actions, edit, pay in full. So
Okay.
either you can make a payment from this payment or invoice workbench. If you make a payment from this invoice workbench, you are making payment only to this particular invoice.
Okay.
Okay. But wherein if you go to this payment workbench, for example, if I go here, I go to create payments. So here let me choose the supplier. If I come down, I can add multiple invoices for the supplier and then I can make a single payment.
All the payments.
Yeah. Let's say if the supplier is having multiple invoices, 10 or 15 invoices, I can directly, if I click on plus, I can add all the invoices and make the payment. But wherein
Okay.
if I go with invoice workbench and pay in full, I am
I can
recording payment only for this
for the
particular.
particular one invoice.
Yeah. So if I go to bank account, I will not see any bank account because I have not created any bank account. Okay. So now any doubts in this invoice creation? Visa Lakshmi, are you clear? Okay. Okay. Now before creating a bank accounts, we will also create one debit memo. create invoice. See, I entered 500. If I click on save, system will throw an error. See, the invoice has the same supplier currency. Verified, continue. Oh my god, why I have done this? Cancel this. Sorry. What I want to show you is save and create next. LMW. I will choose debit memo.
Debit memo.
LMWDM00. LMWDM002. I will put 500. If I click on save, it will show a error. See, you must enter a negative number. Why? I have chosen the debit memo. So by entering the negative amount only, we will able to reduce the supplier balance. Correct?
Yes.
So I will put minus 500 and then I will save. Come to done lines. Click on plus. Now let's say this 500 I have entered in the line amount, but if I want to account this 500 into two different accounts, means if I go to distribution, I will click on plus minus 250. I'm just in my distributions. I am just segregating my
Debit invoice amount.
invoice amounts. Account expenses default. Let's say this in the 500 first one is internet expenses. Okay, so invoice amount is the credit memo is 500. I have entered minus 250 for internet expenses. I will click on plus. I will enter another minus 250 and then here I will change the telecom expenses. Okay, save and close. So we have an option that whatever amount we are entering in the line amount, for this line amount, if you want to have a multiple distributions, we can have it here by adding this line. Okay, save and close. Save invoice actions, validate, post to ledger. So since it is a debit memo, if you see the accounting entry, your liability will get debit.
Okay.
Okay, and then your expense is getting credit. But initially in your original invoice, this will be debit and this will be credit.
This will be credit.
Okay. So now save and create next. I will change credit memo. Both are same thing only. But there is a slight difference. I will tell you what is that. LMW CM001.
01.
CM001. So this one also, if I enter it in the positive, it will not accept.
Accept.
Minus 600. Next time I should copy some GL code and then I paste it here instead of choosing this manually. Save, validate, post to ledger. So this one also liability debit.
Item expense is credit.
So now I will show you what is the difference between debit memo and credit memo in this system. Because both are same, why they gave these two types in the invoice. See, what happens is debit memo and credit memo. Both are reducing the
Value
supplier
of the supplier.
balance, but there is a slight difference. See, the debit memo is nothing but, for example, you created a PO. For this PO, you received the goods. For this receipt only, we will create an invoice and then we will make a payment. Okay. In the same scenario, this is a P2P cycle. In the same scenario, um, after creating invoice and then after making payment, we understand that there is a defect in this product. Okay. Then we will return this good to the supplier. Once you prepare a return, then what, because you already created a invoice to the supplier and then you made a payment. Okay. Let's say not, we are not made a payment. Okay. But since there is a 500 liability still there, if you return the supplier, system should generate some debit memo
For the return.
for this return. Okay. So this debit memo is nothing but for the return to supplier, system will generate automatically by if it comes from the PO to AP flow. But it's not that you can't able to create a manual debit memo also. You can also create a manual debit memo, but there is an option that if you can also make a system to generate this debit memo. If you are using PO cycle, I mean purchase order, receipt, invoice, and then AP. Okay. There are some other cases. For example, supplier has given invoice for 500. Okay. Now this guy coming and telling that Monish, I gave you invoice 500, but actually this invoice is not 500. It is a less amount only, 250 only. But you made a payment. What I will do, I will give you the credit memo. You create that credit memo in your system. So that time we will choose the credit memo.
Credit memo.
Okay. Both will adjust the supplier balance.
Supplier balance.
If we receive anything from the supplier, that time we will choose this type. If we are creating the things manually or from the P2P cycle, then
Then we can debit memo.
yeah, we will create a debit memo and will give it to the supplier.
Supplier.
So this is the difference. Now save and close. I will show you how to create a bank account now. Setup and maintenance. Cash management. Manage. See, in financials, cash management. Bank setups are in the cash management module.
Management model.
I will click on manage banks. I will click on see, these are all the banks which they already created in the system. So let us newly create a one bank for us. Let's say the bank is in United States. Code is US. Bank name, Bank of America. What is our let's say Bank of America, ADP, Aditya Business. Bank code is BOA ADP. Why I have given this ADP is to maybe someone has created this.
Identify the.
Yeah, or bank. I'll put save and close. So I have created a bank. This is my bank. Now for this bank, I need to create a branch. So branch name is BOA US branch ADP. Alternate branch name also. This routing number is nothing but IFSC code.
IFSC code.
But if you enter something like this, it will validate this actually. See?
This not a validity.
Yeah, because of this country, it is validating. Now what I will do is sample routing number for BOA. What is the routing number? I will copy this. Now I will click on save. Okay. Save and close. So For this bank, we have created the branch. After creating the branch, I will go to view branches. I
Branches.
could see the branch. Now, if I click on view accounts, I will not able to see anything. Why? Because I have not created an account for
Created the
this
account
branch.
as point.
Yeah, so I will click on create account. I'll put account name as a BOA US
US. Yeah.
Bank account ADB. Account number, let's say 97910968889. Currency is USD.
USD.
Now I will choose my BE. Sorry, legal entity.
Legal.
I will use, if you don't enable this account use payables, then we will not able to see this bank account in our AP module. Okay, I'll choose this payables. Long back we discussed about this cash and cash clearing account. You remember? Hello.
Yes.
So for that only here we need to give our cash and cash clearing account. I'm not sure whether we have the cash and cash clearing account in this chart of accounts. For the time being, we will choose, or what we will do. Wait, let me quickly add the. You guys have any plan, or I can extend up to 9:30 after 9:30 for 10 or 15 minutes.
இருக்குது நான் மட்டும்தான் போனேன்.
நீங்க மட்டும் தான் இருக்கீங்களா?
ஆமா select ஆயிட்டாங்க.
வாய் வலிக்க எவ்வளோ நேரம் இங்கிலீஷ்ல பேசுங்க.